Hey guys! I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. I am so grateful as always that you guys are listening, subscribing, and commenting on my channel. I appreciate the support. In this video, I wanted to speak to you guys about INFJs and how, because our minds are so chaotic, in that there's so much going on in our heads, we find that we need to keep the outside of our lives, outside of our minds, extremely organized. And this is the case for me. If you come to my house, and you can see behind me as well, there's not a lot of stuff in my place. I like to keep it pretty minimal because that means that it's easier to clean, it's easier to take care of. But also my walls are completely bare, as you can see, right? I mean, there are no pictures, no paintings. I like to keep the walls of my room pretty bare. And if you just look around my house as well, if you walk around, a lot of people are like, how long have you been living here? And I'll be like, well, 2 years. And they're like, but it doesn't look like it's been lived in at all. It looks like it's really clean, obviously, which is great, but also really minimal and very few distracting things. And for me, I've been thinking about this because, people come visit me very rarely, but they do visit me, or they obviously see my room in my videos, and they're like, your room looks really bare and characterless. And I love that. I love the fact that my room is characterless and bare and clean and minimal, because that means that I can have chaos in my mind, because the outside of my place, the outside of my mind, the outside of my body is extremely organized. It's clean, it's organized, everything is in the right place. I don't have to worry about my room at least, or my world at least, because my inside world, like my head world, is so chaotic and so disorganized already. I don't really like using the word disorganized actually, because I really don't think our minds are disorganized necessarily. It's like controlled chaos, I would say. People from the outside in, if someone was able to step into our minds, they'd be thinking, oh my God, what's going on here, right? They would think that's a complete mess. It's like a fire in there. It's like everything's burning down, the world is on fire, things are happening here and there. There's so many different characters playing different drums and different musical instruments. I mean, there's so much going on in our heads. There's like someone playing music here, there's someone else doing a dance over there. There's different dimensions and different worlds in there. And so if someone else stepped into our world, into our head, they would think, wow, this is so crazy. I don't know how you even keep track of anything. But if we actually look into it, we see dimensions, and we see controlled chaos. We see, there's a lot of stuff going on, but we see method. There's a method to the madness, right? We see some sort of method to everything. We see that, okay, cool, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I can understand what most of it is. I can understand all of it almost, and I understand where everything is and what everything has its own place in my head, right? So it doesn't seem like so much of a chaos to me, at least. When I look into my head, there's a lot going on. And that's, again, one of the reasons why I write things down, is because I want to transfer as much stuff from my head onto paper, so that I can have more space actually in my head, and less stuff in my head. That's one of the reasons I recommend to you guys constantly, is to carry a piece of paper and a pen, or a tiny book and a pen or a pencil with you everywhere you go. Because when you're walking through the world, when you're going to the toilet, whenever you're doing anything, things will pop up in your head, because your mind is always thinking, always moving, always creating, always imagining. And because of that, things will pop up in your head and you're like, oh, that's a great idea. And then write it down, right? Instead of keeping it in your head and perhaps letting it fall out of your head because you'll forget about it, or something else interesting will come up. Write it down somewhere where you can kind of remember it and perhaps work on it in the future. For example, I'll always constantly be getting ideas for new videos I want to do. Constantly. I mean, I'll be sitting with someone and they're talking about something, and instantaneously, boom, something pops up in my head. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I want to do a video on that, right? Because I'm obsessed, obviously, you guys can tell. And so I'll have that idea, and instantaneously I'm like, oh my God, I want to leave right now and do the video. But I'm like, no, just relax. You're at a social gathering, someone's speaking right now, give them your attention. But I will try as much as possible to write that idea down. So I'll pull my book out, or my phone mostly, and I'll write down the idea. I'll be like, I'm sorry, I just have to take a quick note, and I'll write it down, right? And so then I have lists and lists, and I mean hundreds of these items of videos that I want to do, hundreds of them, guys, hundreds of them, of ideas of videos that I want to do. But these are all ideas that come from the ether, from out of nowhere, or from obviously you guys as well. You know, you guys are always messaging me as well and sending me amazing ideas. But this is what I do. I always write it down so that it's not in my head, so that my mind at least can be less of a chaos, right? Less stuff in there. The less stuff there is, the more easier it is to control, the easier it is to gather, the easier it is to organize. That's again one of the reasons why I am absolutely enamored with the idea of minimalism in my life and in my work and in my vicinity, in my environment, because I want to make sure that I'm not spending all day long cleaning my apartment. I really despise, I hate it. I think it's an absolute waste of my time and resources spending my time cleaning my place. Now, of course, I'm not saying that I won't clean my place at all, but I want to spend as little time as possible cleaning, right? So I'll make sure that whenever I get up, you know, if I'm going to the kitchen, I'll pick up something. I'll make sure that I take something to the kitchen. So I'm not always leaving things behind and then cleaning them up one at a time. I want to make sure that, you know, I just keep everything organized, you know. For example, if I bought in a snack to eat in my living room while I'm sitting on the couch, I'll make sure as soon as I'm done with that snack that I'll take it back to the kitchen. Like I don't wait around, or I don't leave it there overnight. That's something that I cannot do anymore, because I know if I leave it overnight, I have to move it the next day. And that is going to be a problem, because I like to come into my room. I like to come into my living room in the morning to do my meditation when it's organized. I don't want it to be messy, and so it's harder for me to do my work if my room, if my desk, if my bedroom, if my living room is messy. You know, if it's disorganized, I can't do my creative work. It's just I have to clean first, and that's again a waste of my time. So as much as possible, as I said, I have very few things so that it's easier to maintain and organize them, because it's easier. If you have less stuff, you know, you don't have to move them around too much. They just stay in their right place. If you have more stuff, that's when you have to find more storage areas, more storage space. You have to put everything away all the time because you use it all the time, things like that, right? And I also find that even though I have such little items, I mean, I don't have that much stuff, right? Comparatively, I'm talking about compared to, I guess, when I was living in Toronto and I had a lot more stuff, because now I can travel with my stuff, right? I travel in like two suitcases. I put everything and I travel with it. So because of it, because I have fewer items, I noticed that it's just easier for me to even think about things that I'm going to be using, right? Because I only keep items that I'm using. So if I have something that I haven't used in a couple of weeks perhaps, or a couple of months even, then I'll get rid of it, because I just know that I'm not going to use it. It's going to be used perhaps once in 1 year or something like that, and it's not really worth it, right? And so I'm constantly observing my environment as well to make sure that I'm removing all those sources of chaos. You know, anything that I'm not using anymore, I'll just get rid of it. I'll donate it. Usually there is a donation center here. It's for refugees. There's a lady here who does a lot of charity work. And so she has this used shop, you know, used store. And so we kind of donate mostly a lot of Chiang Mai people, a lot of Chiang Mai nomads will donate our not useful stuff to her. And then she will either sell it and make money and then donate it to charity, or use it for refugees in Myanmar, or she will use it for her own business and to give more money, or to teach people in Myanmar, or help refugees of Myanmar, things like that. So she does amazing work. But so all of my stuff that I'm not using always goes to her. Like if I notice that I'm not using a piece of cloth or like a dress or something, I'll just donate it to her. If I'm not using a basket, I'll donate it to her, and she can use it better. She can give it to someone who's going to be absolutely even using it, right? And so in my head, in my world, I think as an INFJ, I'm always thinking about making my world, my outside world, more organized, so that my inside world can remain chaotic as it is, without me feeling guilty about it, right? Without me feeling like, oh my God. If you can imagine this, if there was an INFJ whose outside world was chaotic and their inside world was chaotic, can you imagine the chaos? I mean, that would be absolutely maddening to an INFJ, because it would just be too much chaos to deal with. And we are organized beings. Even though our minds are filled with so much stuff, we do like to be organized. You know, we are J's. You know, INFJ, J part is also about organization. And so an INFJ can be extremely organized in a lot of different things they do. That's why they have to-do lists. That's why they have schedules. That's why they follow certain rules. That's why they do the things that they do. And that's why I have a daily list of things that I want to do, and I check them off one by one by one. And this, doing videos every day is actually part of it. I'll get up and I'll think about the video I want to do, and then I'll do it. I'll record it. And so we do like to have, organization in our life. And if you are an INFJ who's a little bit unhealthy, or who's feeling a little bit too out of sorts, or is feeling like, oh my God, my life is completely a mess, it's probably because your environment is extremely messy. Maybe you have a roommate and they're messy and you're unable to live in an organized space, or perhaps your family's messy if you live with your family, or perhaps you just are getting into a phase of laziness, or if you're just getting too busy and you're not able to organize your life too much. So if you're feeling out of sorts, if you're feeling like, I feel uncomfortable, it's probably because your environment is a little bit messy. And so if you just organize yourself outwardly a little bit, organizing your bank accounts, organizing your emails, organizing your computer, your desktop, organizing your bedroom, organizing your rooms, organizing your kitchen, things like that. If you can just do that kind of stuff, your outwardly organization, you will notice that it's going to have an immense benefit on your inward organization. Even though there's going to be a lot of stuff still in your head, you're going to notice that it's going to be easier for you to deal with the chaos in your mind because your outside world is more organized. Right? And I really hope that you guys will take this as advice and work on it in your own life, because it will really change the way you move through the world, in your own world. Okay? Again, if you guys have any questions about this particular topic or any of the topics, please message me anytime. I'm obviously here for you guys. I do only reply to emails once a week because I do get a lot of them, and I've been working a lot, so I'm trying to reduce the amount of work I do. So I will get back to your email, I promise. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not door slamming you. I get a lot of people saying that. Are you door slamming me? I'm like, no, I just have a lot of work to do. Okay, so I hope that you'll message me if you have any questions, and I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.